Welcome to another edition of Chai with Molly, a show where we celebrate diversity the Canadian way. I'm your host, and I have been looking so much forward to seeing you. We have an amazing show in store for you, so don't go anywhere. Greece has just been given an extension on the economic bailout by European Union. What this agreement will entail and how will it impact the Greeks living in Greece as well as those living here in Canada. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Nicholas Mantis to the studio. He is a Greek Canadian who is going to give us an insight into what is happening in Greece today. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me, Molly.
All right, so may I call you Nick?
Of course.
All right, Nick. So tell us what is happening in Greece and what is your understanding? Because the eyes of the world are right now focused on Greece, right? So we are all keen to see Greece succeed, right? But what got Greece into this place in the first place?
Well, in the first place, Greece has always had a problem with its putting its financials in order. There is a large problem with the public sector in the way that people, how taxation is enforced, but also Greece being a country in the southern Mediterranean, it is mostly focused on services. So it really has, the largest industry is tourism.
85% of it.
85% of it. So with that said, it doesn't have a large industry, as not an industrial country as Germany or the Northern European countries, to be able to have large GDP and GDP surpluses.
Okay.
Now, Greece has currently just came out of an election due to the fact that they weren't able to decide who would be the next president of the Hellenic Republic. And Mr. Alexis Tsipras has, with the Syriza party, has become the current prime minister.
All right. Now, he seems to be a very, very promising young man, 40 years old, quite an experienced politician. Do you think he'll be able to implement the necessary changes that the European Union is looking for?
Well, he's for his age, people would say that he's inexperienced because he's very young.
But this is his second term, isn't it? He was elected earlier.
He's been elected as he was elected as the opposition leader for the last 2 terms.
Okay.
But this is the first time that he's becoming prime minister.
Okay.
Now, as a prime minister, of course, he's going to have to implement what previous memorandums were with also the Troika. But he just now has to, it's not only implementing, though, the everything that has been agreed upon, but it's also to bring confidence back to the people.
Right. And I think that a lot of the money that had left the shores of Greece is now beginning to come back because the markets are beginning to respond to perhaps him or his message. They are responding positively, not as much as Greece would like, but at least it is a move in the right direction.
The markets are starting to come back.
Yes, almost 700 million euros was returned.
And we also see that with the bond rates, which actually have decreased. Now, for implementing the austerity measures, or as he's now calling it, the measures for social for social justice.
Yes. Why is that struggle?
The struggle is because right now we have one of the largest unemployments in Europe, 25% unemployment in general, 60% unemployment between the ages of 25 and 30. So, and the problem is that we have cut a lot of social benefits, and even for the elderly, we've cut their pensions. So the government has
moral obligations
to try to bring back the some of the measures at least that were in before 2009.
Okay, all right. So Greece is not a third world country, right? It is the 15th largest economy in the 27-member European Union. Entire GDP of the country is larger than all the Balkan countries put
Yes.
together, right? The economy is bigger and stronger, right? So it's just few things that have, led Greece to this really difficult position, right? We mentioned a little bit about the tax
Taxation.
evasion.
Tax evasion, but actually
And a huge amount of corruption. These are a couple of things that the current prime minister has promised,
Yes.
right, to tackle head on.
head on.
Yes.
But the other large issue that Greece has is in its bureaucracy, and I don't mean about corruption in the public sector.
Okay.
I'm talking about the way that people do business. Like
Okay.
to open a business in Greece, it takes a lot longer for the bureaucratic red tape than it does in other countries.
Okay.
So
Thanks for clarifying, because it's, for someone who's never been to Greece, it's difficult to understand, right, what that corruption means. Okay.
But so by trying to bring measures that will help the economy and help the system in general, he's going to be able to also create more jobs faster. Hopefully, that would be able to bring up the economy.
All right. So now some of these measures that have been taken in Greece must have had some impact on the Greeks living here in Canada, because there is a significant amount of community that does trade with Greece. What have you seen? What kind of an impact has this had on our trade with Greece?
On trade, I wouldn't say that it has that much of an impact on trade. It has more of a social impact.
Okay.
Because the community or the Greek diaspora in Canada
Yes.
is about depending on how you count it could be anywhere between 300 and 350,000
Okay.
people. Now, and because of that, you'll see that a lot of people have family back home. So the way that they're affected is mostly by hearing of the stories of people from back home, hearing that people don't have jobs, and that the economy is a lot worse than what it used to be.
Okay. And now I know Greek people, like the Indian people and like the Chinese, I guess they're very family oriented. So I'm assuming that the Greeks who are living here who are doing really well, and Greek community has done extremely well. I'm sure they're having to support their families back home, right?
They need to, a lot of people are supporting their families back home. You'll see that even right now we have a third, I would say a third migration wave, because you're seeing that a lot of younger adults and students are leaving Greece to come to Canada for a better life.
Yes.
So you'll see that there's if you want to call it a rejuvenation of.
So that's good, very good. So I guess this will help to reverse at least some of this trend.
Yeah, hopefully it will reverse the trend.
Yes.
We have a very, I would say, a vibrant community.
Yes. A community that has done very well.
They've done very well.
Yes.
We've had from chief justices to members of parliament, senators.
Yes.
And businessmen that everyone, actually some of them that people know.
Yes. Yes, and who is it that you're most proud of?
From business-wise, you could say that actually it's the founder of the BlackBerry, Mr. Michael Lazaridis.
Okay, well, I guess that's an iconic Canadian company. Oh, very well. We didn't know that. Okay, wonderful. And so give us a glimpse of the Greek community living here in Canada. I know the majority of them do live in GTA, Toronto mostly.
Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. but mostly they're between Toronto and Montreal.
All right. So you were telling me a very interesting story about the first settlers that came in to Canada from Greece. Why don't you share that with us?
Actually, the first settlers that are that we know came around the 1830s, 1840s. But the first person that actually of Greek descent that stepped foot in what was Canada at that time was actually Juan de Fuca. And that's how we have the name of the Juan de Fuca Straits.
Okay, all right. Well, when I was doing research about this, about the Greek community here, I didn't find that. So I'm glad that you pointed that out to us. Now, let's talk just a little bit. I can't help it, but about Alexander the Great, right? Came to India.
Came to India.
So tell us a little bit about that. I think that's something that I would like our viewers to know, because not too many of them may know about him going as far as India.
He tried to bring what was the Greek civilization all the way to India, and basically he stopped there and returned back with his armies.
All right, and you've been to India?
I've been to India.
Yes, and
Been once.
yes. How was your trip? And you met a very amazing, Greek woman.
Sister Nectaria.
Yes.
Who
Why
has
don't you tell our viewers about her?
Sister Nectaria has an orphanage in Kolkata. Actually, outside of Kolkata.
Right on the outskirts.
Right on the outskirts, and she's there, and she has about 100 young girls in the
Mostly
orphanage.
orphans.
Mostly orphans.
Yes.
And now she is trying to build a high school for the girls to be able to graduate and go
She's
to
doing an
college.
amazing job. Living in a foreign country all alone by herself and providing a future to orphans, right? So if there is anybody here who would like to know more about Sister Nectaria's project, we will give all that information on the screen, and by all means do contact us and we'll be happy to put you in touch with her. And so thank you for being here, Nick.
Thank you for having me, Molly.
So this week we got the news of Mr. Spock,
Yes.
Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy. Oh, we
Passing
all
away.
know. I was so sad. It took me back to my childhood memories of Star Trek, those days. And
He was my favorite.
and those years.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there
Yes,
was something really awesome about him.
Yes.
Yes. So what was it that you liked the most about that character? And he played it so well.
Well, I think the way his presence, from the look, that the years that he had, and he maintained a certain posture and look. And when I was growing up in my teenage years and beyond in the US, seeing Star Trek, Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, and who else? All of those group of people, it had a certain aura, and we felt a part of it. So somehow, when I heard that he died, he passed on, almost like a part of my childhood came up to me, and then also kind of went a little further.
That's right.
And a little further. Then
He
a
was
little bit of-
iconic.
yes, iconic.
Yes.
You identify with that time, and then you realize that part is over, and we're on to a new phase and bigger and better things, I'm sure.
Yeah, but he got to live a good life.
He got to live a good
He was
life.
80 plus,
Yes.
right, when he passed away.
Yes, yes.
So he did get to live a
Yes.
good life. Yes, so
Well, what I would say is, let's celebrate the people around us. Let's enjoy the not just iconic figures. Let's enjoy what we have, because looking back 10 years ahead, you would wish, and you look back and say, "Oh, I wish I spent more time with that person," or a movie, something in your life, whatever it is. These are the times that we remember.
the lesson from this is
Yes.
spend time with those
Spend time.
that you value
Yes, Mom.
and cherish.
Yes.
All right, well, that's been our week, this week gone by. That's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed preparing it for you. And please do keep those emails coming and those phone calls, and they mean a lot to us that you watch our show and that you take the time to write. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show or would like to advertise with us, please contact me. You can reach me at 647-979-3220. And before I go, let me remind you once again that to be good and kind to a stranger is a good thing.